Hi, my name is Laurelee, and this is It's Not About Food. So it's not about food, and it's not about weight. What is it about? Everything else, because it's never ever about food or weight, never ever, not even one time, not ever, ever, ever. Hello, my name is Laurelee Roark, and I'm one of the creators of the Body Love Cards, which is what we are talking about right now with this series of podcasts. And the front of the card is the goddess is sitting on a beach with a beautiful ocean and sky behind her, and she's sort of sitting cross-legged, and she has her arm around her spirit animal. And it's sort of like a very friendly card. They're both accepting each other as they are, I think, is what I come from this picture. And on the back of it, it says, acceptance means to honor and respect our body and ourself exactly as we are right now in this moment. When we step into acceptance, we stop struggling and fighting, and we begin to make peace with ourselves. This empowers our body and ourself to be who we really are in this moment. It takes us out of the obsession of wanting to be different and allows us to be more present with ourselves and therefore better able to meet our own needs. So when I read this, really what comes up for me is that idea of acceptance, mean to honor and respect our body and ourself as we are right now. And for me, when I was hating my body and was way beyond my natural body weight or way under my natural body weight, to accept that this is where I was starting from, and I did not have any clue where I was going to go. I just knew I didn't want to have the eating disorder anymore. So I had to stop struggling with the idea that it should be a certain way or a certain size or a certain look and let go of it. And this was the kicker, without any hope that it would be different. And I struggled with that so much because I wanted, even though I knew it would not be good to control it anymore and it didn't work, I still secretly very much wanted it to be a certain way. And I just had to let go of that. And it was wicked hard. It was horrible to really give up even that dream or that fantasy or that idea. So that would keep me in that obsession, is how can I do this and have recovery? And you can't. You cannot have the thought that you will be a certain weight or a certain size or a certain look and be recovered. You have to let go of that. And that doesn't mean that we just run willy-nilly through the streets crazy. It just means the acceptance of who we are and where we are is the most important thing. There's a saying in AA that acceptance is the key to all of my problems today. So really, with anything that I'm thinking about or trying to recover from or struggling with, if I move into acceptance, it's a lot better. So today we have my dear friend Emily, and she is going to talk to us about her experience with acceptance. And I just am really honored and glad that she's here. So take it away, Emily.
All right. Hi there. I'm Emily Ireland Cox, and I'm a body positive motivator based out of Sacramento, California. I have been in recovery from my eating disorder since 2009, when I went to eating disorder treatment, inpatient for binge eating disorder, after having the lap band weight loss surgery, the lap band removed surgically after it failed terribly. And so I had the lap band in and, was going down that awful trail and it didn't work. And I was having a really hard time with my body changing after that. And luckily my doctor put me in treatment. And then after that, I found Beyond Hunger. And I've been in and out of Beyond Hunger since 2010 for the support.
So great.
Yeah. And then now it's not about foods.
So great. And I just want to stop you right here about this whole lap band thing. That is a horrible story that you go through this operation and you get this thing and you feel like you're on your way and things are doing good.
I did it all the right way. I did everything they told me to. I was the star patient, but
it blew up in your face.
Yeah, but I felt like the failure. I felt like that was my reckoning. I was like, well, if I can't even do this, then I'm broken. I can't do anything. Like, this, what am I going to do? So I was morally bankrupt after that, for sure.
I understand that because the last really big thing I did about my own eating disorder was I wired my mouth shut, thinking for the millionth time, okay, well, once the wires come off and I'm eating, I'll never overeat again. I'll never have this happen to me again. I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
So did that happen to you where...
Yeah, I thought that would be my last stop. Like, oh, I'd already been through some emotional recovery around food issues, but this was going to fix the physical part of my problem, that I was this big problem that had to be fixed. Right. And I thought that, I was mentally stable with it, that I could just fix this physical part and then my life could start. And everything would be as I had hoped and dreamed and planned it would be when they promise you a thin body, like when you lose weight and your life will be awesome when. So, I went from being a very large, person, a fat person, down to being a totally average sized person only with the help of the lap band. And then when it failed, of course, they took it out, the weight comes back so quickly. And that's where you're like, had kind of a mental breakdown.
I know. I could not believe how much weight I gained in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And you said something interesting with I became a average size person, but average,
I guess,
for who?
Average for I know I try not to mention dress sizes, but I was able to dress in standard size clothing and would blend in. Like nobody would say, oh, you're the biggest person in the room anymore. I just kind of blended in. And got to see things from a whole other side of things.
Well, that's true, but I do notice when I travel that, and not that Europe has it all together all the time about everything. They don't, of course. Like they're people just like us, but there are all kinds of different sizes mannequins in windows. Wow. And so there's not just like, oh, I'm only seeing this 95% of the time when it doesn't represent 95% of the people.
Exactly.
So there is that, and I don't know really what that means statistically. But I know that I always feel better when I go into a store and there's a huge array of sizes. And like in some countries I wear a size 95. Like, that's so like arbitrary that I'm like, well, okay.
Yeah, we get so stuck on numbers, especially in this culture, and being single digit dress sizes.
Exactly.
And it should be like men's clothes, it's just like your waist size, but nobody would want to say what size they were out loud.
No, and then the tailor makes it to you. Yeah.
Genius, right?
Yeah. What a concept. So we're here to talk about acceptance. And so just tell me a little bit about yourself, Emily, and how you came to, I don't know.
Accept myself?
Yeah, but who you are and what you're doing, and then how does that work with the acceptance part?
Okay. So let's see. So I'll kind of start about what I'm doing now, and then acceptance will be the reason of how I was able to get to where I am now. So currently I'm a professional event planner and I work for a large nonprofit right now, but for the last 5 years, I ran a body positive event planning company. We hosted the SAC plus size clothing swaps. It's really important to me to host events that are community building for all sizes.
All sizes.
Yeah. And you know, like it's like, I'm an event planner. I like bringing people together and kind of like, if I found this way of living where I can accept myself and feel better about myself and just enjoy my life, then I want to share that experience with others. I'm also an admin on a private Facebook group called Fat Positive Sacramento. And we also host events. We've been hosting Chunky Dunk swim parties for the last 5 years in Sacramento. So if some of you have seen the show Shrill on Netflix, that kind of brought those body positive pool parties to light. But I've been.
I love that. And
so fun.
people put on a bathing suit.
Yes, we sell out at 100 people every time we do a Chunky Dunk.
And no matter what, you get to put on a bathing suit and get in the water. Yeah. What a concept.
Yeah. So, you know, we partner a lot with the LGBTQ and trans community because it's body positive for all bodies.
That's right.
And so I've just done a lot of work in trying to do community building. And then I also have an Instagram blog as a body positive motivator. On Instagram is Lucky Bombshell. And I post about just living fat and free and enjoying my life and accepting this awesome body that I have and, you know, not letting it hold me back anymore from enjoying life like where I was at before I went into recovery, which was this body is holding me back from achieving everything I want in life and felt like it had to be something to be fixed. And now I am able to like honor and respect my body, that this is the awesome body that carries me through to accomplish the goals and things I want to do.
And poor body that had to take all of that.
So much abuse for so long.
Of, oh, you're the one that if I didn't have this body, I'd be perfect or be fine or happy or rich or... Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's been really hard. And so and before the lap band, I just weight cycled like typical yo-yo dieting up and down. I'd lost about 100 pounds 2 or 3 times in my life, you know? So
the whole person.
Yeah, so for me, recovery, one of the things is recovery for me is in this radical self-acceptance of myself is that this is the body that I have and that I don't change sizes anymore. Like that's a sign of recovery for me, is that I'm able to eat healthfully and intuitively to, you know, that my body doesn't reflect the abuse that I was giving to it. And so I'm able to focus on my actual health and improve all of my health factors, physically, spiritually, mentally, you know, emotionally, instead of just focusing on my weight and number, which I did for over a decade of just trying to fit myself like we all, you know, most of us do.
Everybody.
Yeah. And then what I realized when I was, you know, given this smaller body because I had a lap band that forced me to be smaller, is that when I got down to that size and what they promised me, and it still wasn't enough weight to lose for the doctors, and they still wanted me to keep going. And I was like, my period was stopped. My hair was falling out. Like I was starving before the lap band came out. And they're like, no, you're not good enough. You still need to lose more. So I had this perspective from being a larger person most of my life to then being a smaller person of it's never enough.
It's never going to be
enough. It's never going to be enough. And I cannot try to kill myself just to be in a smaller body. It is absolutely not worth it.
Because the skeleton's small.
Yeah, right? And then what? Yeah. And so I'm no longer trying to just take up less space. This is the size that I come in. So radical self-acceptance is something, well, just acceptance. And I always take it like it just has to be this surrender of just radical acceptance. This is who I am. This is my body. This is what it is right now. Like something you always say, you know, like right here, right now. It is what it is.
This is my age. I wear glasses. I have this hair.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a good like grounding in the moment. But I remember when I was first introduced to the concept of acceptance when I was in intensive outpatient treatment for binge eating disorder, I was like, you all are crazy. That is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard. Right. I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to be 500 pounds. I'm going to go nuts.
Yes.
I'm going to live under a bridge, lose my whole life. I'm going to go crazy if I don't control. Because I know a big part of eating disorders is the controlling part of it.
That's the true addiction.
Yeah. And so letting that go, you know, was, you know, one of the hardest cornerstones of my recovery, but it's been the best. So, and then doing the continual work in your groups and reading your books and stuff about just continual acceptance. So every level of recovery, every layer of the onion, it's like, okay, this is where we're at. These were your expectations. This was your history. Where are we at right now? What are we capable of? What are you hungry for right in this moment?
Are you hungry?
Am I even hungry? Yeah. And then the
Or
gift.
do I need a nap? Or maybe I just need to just sit here for 1 second and
Right.
not do anything.
What do I actually need? So, and then because I was able to embrace acceptance, then I'm able to embrace the concept of intuitive eating, because I'm able to sit with myself for long enough to be like, okay, what's really going on? Am I hungry? Am I thirsty? What's this headache from? What's going on in my body? I have the urge to eat. Is it an emotional thing? Is it because I'm actually hungry?
Yeah.
And then able to, you know, along with intuitive eating, learning the hunger scale and like checking in with myself. So this acceptance is just a continual practice in mindfulness
That's right.
of bringing
That's
you right back every time.
That's right.
Where are we at?
I hear people all the time say, I can't be an intuitive eater because I can't have potato chips in my house. I'll eat them all. It's like, well, you can if you accept that this is the body that you have and that eating potato chips is not on your diet. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, if you want them, eat them. If you don't want them, don't eat them. But eat them or don't eat them according to your body, not to your weight.
Yeah.
Which is a whole other thing, which only comes from acceptance.
Absolutely.
Like, well, I'm never going to go on a diet, so it doesn't matter. I don't have to eat all the potato chips because I can have them tomorrow.
Right. Because you're not,
not on a
restricting.
diet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not on a binge because I'm not in reaction to that I don't get to eat.
Yeah, that cycle of spirit and remorse, and then you just binge more because you feel so shameful about what you did, and then you try to restrict, and then you can't take it anymore. Yeah, I'm so
and that was
free
a
from that
perfect
cycle.
example of that. Is that the freedom of radical acceptance feels horrible
At first.
and then it feels good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Like you're scared on a roller coaster, and you're like, I don't know, this is crazy. What did I get myself into?
Oh, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna fly out. I'm gonna die.
And then you're like, wait, okay, look, I let go of the handlebars. I'm strapped in. We're safe.
Yep.
We're okay. I can
Yep.
enjoy this.
Yep.
You know, so it's an up and down. Yeah, and with intuitive eat, like you were saying about the potato chip thing too, it reminded me about, you know, the legalizing food being part of that acceptance, like accepting that food is not good or bad. A cookie is not good or bad. There's no value system to that. It's how does it work?
There's no moral issue here.
Yeah, the morality of it. So taking that layer away and accepting that it's not the food. I'm not like addicted to the food. I have this eating disorder that makes, you know, I have addictive things and I'm obsessing about it because it's the one thing you say you can't have is what you're gonna obsess about.
And again, going back to what you said about control, it's the control that we're addicted to. Whether the control is I'm going to eat all this or I'm not going to eat any of it. It's the same kind of control.
Then if I can control it, that means I'm good.
That means I'm good.
And if I can't control it, then I'm bad. So the food makes
if I'm good, I'm thin.
Yeah. Bad.
I'm healthy. And bad, I'm fat and unhealthy. And just want to die, I guess. Just trying to die.
Yeah, which is not the case.
That's so stupid. That's so stupid.
And now I can accept the fact that I can be a plus size or fat person and be healthy. I, work with my doctor. I go get physicals. I'm actively involved in maintaining my health and finding practitioners that will work with me and not try to force me into weight loss or pressure me for that. Like, I'm here committed to my overall health in all the areas, and I'm able to just take care of myself in such a better way.
Yeah.
In a whole nurturing way.
Yeah.
Than before.
Well, it's so funny that you're saying this because I saw on YouTube, there's a famous comedian on his show started fat shaming people of a certain
Bill
size.
Maher.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was such a jerk about it, for sure. So I got all upset about that. And then I think a lot of times he's a jerk, just generally, not just because of this.
That's his brand, yeah.
Right. But yeah, he's so snarky. But then another comedian kind of had a rebuttal, but he just put himself down over and over and over again. Yes.
Yeah. And I was like,
instead of like going, hey, stop doing that.
Yeah, he
that
was like,
doesn't
I have a
help.
lot of work to do too.
Right,
I'm working on it.
Or this is the best I can do, and I hear people say things like don't eat all the pie, and
Yeah.
oh God, he was so, I felt like he had a moment that he could have completely changed this whole conversation. And he didn't even say something as good as you just did a minute ago, and he gets $1 million a year. What?
Because he can still accept it. He's in Hollywood. It's like he's the, and I do say this too. Society accepts fat men just more than fat women. They
Yeah,
can
of
say
course.
themselves they still get, are given a hard time about it, but overall they still accept it.
Exactly.
Being a fat man doesn't keep them from getting
Whatever. Right. His own show.
yeah.
Yeah. We have had people, women, famous women, and they were a bigger size, but, they always tried to get smaller all the time.
Yeah,
and,
like Rosie and Oprah are still just through the
Right,
years. It was
right.
still just a common thread of their show. And it's like everything else you're putting out there is telling women to accept themselves, get in touch with yourself,
Be
put
the
yourself
goddess that
first.
you are.
Yeah,
and-
but still just think you're not good enough and you just need to
Right.
be a smaller size because that's the only way to have a body.
I'm going to be dragging a wagon of a bunch of fat around behind me
Oh
to
my
show you
goodness.
how good I look, my butt looks in these pants.
Yeah.
And then, she goes on to sort of like buy into this huge big diet and is on the board and bought a bunch of shares, and it's sort of like, what? I mean,
I know.
what are you doing?
Right, what message? And I think about it like in a way of like in the opposite of like if she can't do it, like nobody can. Like she has all the resources, all the money, all the platforms. She could literally pay someone to knock food out of her hand as it going to her mouth every day.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like she has all the privilege and resources to be able to quote fix this problem or access to things that we would all be like, oh, I can't afford to go to the gym, or I can't afford that diet program, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Like, so really then shouldn't that show us though? Like this is a lifetime of her suffering in the public eye and swaying back and
Right,
forth. Like,
right.
could she radically accept herself and let
That's
that
what
go?
she doesn't have.
She can't. Yeah.
She has no acceptance. She doesn't say, you know what? Oh, my skin is black.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and this is the body that I have.
And this is how I'm shaped. This is just how I am.
Okay. Maybe this is okay. And maybe I can still be this great person that has these great ideas and, leads women on. And
Because clearly she's an amazing human being in all the other
Clearly.
aspects. So why should her
Right.
size even still be an issue?
why are we even talking about this? I know. It is so maddening.
Right.
But this is why this card or this idea is so important, is that this
And
is
radical.
the key, right? This is the key to everything. If you can accept and love who you are, where you are, and just be okay with that.
Yeah.
You shift and change anyway. We all get older if we live.
Right.
We're never going to be able to put ourselves in the freezer, I guess. Well, I guess Walt Disney did, but he's dead. So,
Yeah.
if we're still here, we're going to get different.
Yeah, every year. I mean, just
Every
as you
year.
age is a new radical acceptance. Okay,
Right.
I have these new lines on my eyes now. I got this gray hair over here.
That's right.
We can do things cosmetically to fix stuff as we go, but overall, your body's changed. You can't fight that forever.
Well, it's sort of like I said to one of the peer educators that I work with. We go into schools and talk about this issue. And I said, you can't change who you really are genetically.
Yeah.
And you can do certain things to try to change it. But in the end, you still are that.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I can get green contact lenses, which make my brown eyes green. And I like that. And I said, yeah, but when you take them out, your eyes are not green.
They're still
brown. You can put something on top of them for sure and have fun with that. I'm not saying that's not fun to do, but you're not making your eyes brown. You're making a different shade.
Appear a different way for a short amount of time.
Right.
It's
Like
not
I
true.
have a blue shirt on. That doesn't mean that underneath this blue shirt I'm blue.
Right.
I'm still my regular color
Right.
with a blue shirt. So, it's a hard one to get our head wrapped around.
It is.
And especially around this whole idea of weight, of that if I just try hard enough, I will be this weight that your body may or may not want to be.
Yeah.
And the body will defend
fight you.
itself.
Yeah. And one thing in my journey that I can share from yo-yoing drastically so much is that no matter how hard, like you try, like when lap band came out, my body just hoarded everything. You know, my metabolism goes into starvation mode. And so anything I put, so even though I was still only eating 500 calories a day, that was putting weight onto my body because it was more than I had been able to eat before, forced with surgery. So
yeah,
it's just, your body's going to fight you. I mean, you know, The Health at Every Size, Linda Bacon, reading that book in recovery too, just understanding the science of how that actually works. I was like, oh, next level, I'm able to radically accept this is just how your body's going to react when you starve it. And then the set points, you're going to gain back a little bit more each time.
Because your body's hoarding it, going, I don't know when that famine's coming again. I don't know when that rubber band's going to be here again. And I better, you know, store the nuts for winter.
Yeah. Yeah. And the surgeons, because I didn't know the whole band was going to come out, I went in for surgery to have it fixed. And I woke up and they had taken the whole system out because they were like, you were so damaged inside, it had slipped out of place. We didn't feel safe reattaching it or putting a new system in. So they're like, okay, you're fine. Here, go back out into the world. You'll be fine. You did great. I'm like, I could only do that because I had surgery. So again, the drastic measures that I went through, other people have gone through. I'm glad I didn't get the full version of the surgery. It's out of my system now, and I'm able to recover my body and treat it as best I can.
Well, I mean, this is why, diets don't work, because our body is strong.
Yeah.
And sure, we can just whip it into some sort of shape or, liposuction or do a million different things. We can do that, but it's still not going to be okay with it. Our bodies, they're still going to fight it. And it's like somebody said, oh, I liposuction my whole belly. And then I never had really big hips until I did that because the fat had to go somewhere. It's like, well, nobody ever said that.
It's like playing whack-a-mole. You get one thing down and then the next thing.
It is whack-a-mole.
Right.
Exactly. It is whack-a-mole.
And then you're just fighting yourself and adding resistance to your life more and more instead of.
And how much time does that take?
That's been one of the hugest things that I wish I could convey more in everyday conversations about this, and I'll say it here, is that the amount of brain space that I have now to be able to focus on my goals and relationships and my career and, the real things that matter in my life.
Right. Yeah.
Compared to when I was in the depths of my eating disorder, obsessed with food, obsessed with my body, obsessed with what everybody was thinking about me or saying about me. Oh my God, that freedom and mental space that I have now, like I kept realizing as I recovered more and more, and I would remember back how bad it had been and how much I used to spend worrying about this or not going to parties or missing out on things or being at a party and obsessing about the food table and who's going to watch me. Just the craziness of the crap, just the freedom. I can be present with people. I can be actually talking to them and look them in the eyes without side-eyeing the table of food next to them and think about how I'm going to sneak some things and nobody's going to know.
How am I going to, God, I should have brought some, plastic bags. What was I thinking? Because I wouldn't eat in front of anyone. But, of course, I was so hungry. I would leave a party and go through a drive-through because I was so hungry because I wouldn't have eaten at this party that had really great food.
Right.
So stupid.
So all that extra steps and extra resistance and extra, stuff that's clouding your mind, when you're in recovery, just that amount of space now that I have for the goodness in my life instead of the obsession.
That's right.
That is freedom. That is radical acceptance.
That's right. So if we think about the messages of acceptance, radical acceptance, it is what it is. And then knowing that it is what it is and it's acceptance, knowing that it shall change. Yeah. It seems like it's an ongoing acceptance.
Yeah, it's a practice.
Even if, it's a practice. Right. Thank you. Because things change. Everything. The only thing that doesn't change is nothing.
Right.
Even if you die, your body still goes through a million changes.
It's the only thing we can be certain about, right?
Exactly.
Things can
So
change.
how do you work for that? Like you work all really hard to accept something and then boop, it's different.
Yeah, I guess
Because you've had some changes in the last couple years here.
big changes. Yeah, just like life changes and
Yeah.
adjustments. Yeah, from being full-time employee and going through corporate layoffs to being self-employed and learning all about yourself in that world.
Right.
So I kind of look at, the tools that I learned in recovery and for my eating disorder, like radical acceptance, intuitive eating, the concept of like tools actually in my tool belt. Now I have the right tools for the right job. So the issues
right.
are always going to come are different, but I have a better set of tools now to handle them as they come up. So it's not like and that's a huge shift too, actually. And acceptance is I used to look at this whole like fixing my body thing as set it and forget it, right? Like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get this and achieve this, and then I'll be good, and then I can
just
move
won't
on.
have to deal with it ever again.
Yeah, and that's, again, like you said, with everything, that's
crazy.
not how things work. So
crazy talk.
Yeah, so I guess, and again, anytime my anxiety kicks in as things are changing, it's again that practice of, okay, acceptance right here, right now. This is how things change. This is what's going on right now. What can I change? What can I not change? What's in my, what they say, like accept the things you cannot change.
Yes, exactly.
So it is a tool that I have now. So as things are going to continue to change, I have this stronger muscle of acceptance. So I'm able to handle things better as I go.
Exactly. And I think the other thing that you were talking about is that knowing that if I accept this, that doesn't really mean anything other than I'm just not worrying about it anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that other people don't or stopped worried about it. Or
It's just me.
It's just you. Like the world doesn't all of a sudden change itself to fit whatever your acceptance is. It sort of doesn't really give a shit about that, I think. Or it doesn't really care about that much.
Yeah.
But I wonder, so I know, again, you've gone through some big changes. You have a new job. And,
new job, really all about myself.
You just had a death of 2 animals. That's a huge
grief.
Yeah.
Both pets for 13, 14 years.
That is a long-term relationship that is gone.
Yeah. So now when things come up like this, and of course, emotional eating, everybody emotionally eats at some point in their life, whether they have an eating disorder or not, right? So
Of course.
Accepting that that's normal too. So that means that even though I can claim that I've been in, quote, recovery from binge eating disorder, that means if I overeat a little here and there, that doesn't mean that it's all down the tubes. It's like an acceptance. It's not all or nothing.
It's not black and white.
Right. And because I can be in that state of acceptance, like, okay, it makes sense that I'd want a piece of chocolate cake tonight because I'm super sad about this.
That's right.
And because I can go into it knowing that, then I don't binge on it. I don't freak out about it. I don't obsess about it because I'm legalizing it, allowing it for myself.
You don't have to have a whole cake.
Right. Like I'm realizing, okay, I'm pacifying myself with this right now.
Right.
Maybe it's not the best decision, but right now, this is what I feel I need for my body.
Right.
And because I allowed it and didn't deprive myself, keeps me in the moment. It's not going to ricochet where if I had restricted myself, I would have overeaten and done crazier things the following days because I was.
That's right. Because that's what we're afraid of. If I have one bite too many, then, I'm eating the whole
Might as well eat the whole package.
Right. Which is a diet mentality. It's not true. It doesn't mean anything. It just means you had a piece of cake. Like a lot of other people in the whole world.
And I'm at a birthday. I'm not going to be the only one not eating cake and making a big deal. I don't eat cake. I can't today. Like, I'm going to enjoy. And like I said before, like be present and active. Like, nobody cares whether I really eat that piece of cake or not. And I'm not going to obsess about it.
Everybody else is worried about if they're eating the cake. Right?
Right.
And then I would not eat the cake. And then I would leave and go to the 7-Eleven and have a bunch of fried pies.
Right.
Like that really worked out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Better just to go ahead and have what you want right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you said something really good is that sometimes these are ways that we really take care of ourselves. And maybe it is, if you're not an alcoholic, it's a glass of wine or it is a piece of cake, or maybe it's getting yet another pair of black shoes,
or taking a nap, or
Yeah.
Spending 10 minutes
Or
in my
flirting
hammock.
with somebody
Yeah.
or whatever, but it
Something feels
doesn't
good.
mean it's not a black and white, like, oh, well, now all is lost. It just means, oh, well, I guess I'm human still,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, right. Acceptance, right?
Acceptance.
This is what we are. This is how it works.
Just a human, just trying to get along in my little self.
Right.
Yeah.
Just trying to get by.
So if you think about a young girl
Yeah.
sitting in her bedroom and thinking, I am just never going to be okay. I am not the right color, size, shape, race, person for this world. Things are not going to be okay for me. I better, I better hop to and change some stuff big time. And so, how unhappy that, of course, makes us in the end. What would you say to her especially about acceptance, which sounds like, no, I'm not going to accept this as I can't.
Yeah.
I'll just die if I have to accept this.
Yeah.
But what would you say about that?
Well, I can definitely identify with being that girl, taking myself back to that. I would say so what just occurred to me is, again, what I would say is, instead of going outward and fixing the things that are on the outside that are making you feel bad about yourself, go within. Anytime you want to reach for something else as a reaction or a pacifier or whatever, turn within. So instead of reaching for the diet book or the fat camp or, whatever I was begging my parents to do for me when I was 13 and hating myself.
Exactly.
Or
the
go
gym
inwards.
Or the whatever that you think you have to do.
I was so obsessed with is going inwards and getting to know yourself better and loving and accepting yourself. And I know it's super hard for adolescents, because especially with social media, we didn't even have social media when I was that age. Can't even imagine.
It's even worse, 1,000 times worse.
Yeah, just reading the teen magazines back then were enough to ruin my self-esteem.
No kidding.
But really just realizing that you alone get to decide how your life is going to be and how you want to be.
Yeah.
And that, the lessons we learn the older we get, that it really doesn't matter what other people think, and that you just get to decide. You can give yourself that permission slip, and you can decide not to care and not to compare yourself. So I would say, again, start with the non-comparison. I think that's the quickest thing people slip into, is acceptance, not comparing. Run your own race. Don't look left and right, who's doing what.
Exactly.
What's good for your body? What's good for your lifestyle, your economic situation, your whatever it is. Everybody has different privilege and access to things, but your life right here, right now, what goals you have as a young person, your weight and your size is not going to keep you from getting what you want out of life unless you let it by keeping yourself locked into that obsession.
Right.
Or you get to decide that.
Yeah. Or you are so brainwashed by what you're being told. And we have to be willing to step out of that and go, this is not working for me.
No.
So I need to know something else, I think.
Yeah.
And you're right about that comparison. And we do it in this culture all the time.
Yeah.
Our country's better than that country. Our people are better than that people.
Her curly hair's better than my curly hair. Her purple's more vibrant than my purple.
Right.
We compare everything.
And her skin is better than my skin, and that
diet worked for her and it didn't for me. Yeah, your body's completely different. You have different genes, you have different DNA.
I know. And we can't be anyone else. We cannot do it. It's sort of like we're all little snowflakes and we all look different. It's the way it is. And we might as well be the best snowflake that we are.
Yeah, and find out who that really is.
Exactly.
Because I feel like so many of us then develop this persona of who we think we need to be.
Yep.
And I felt like, okay, well, because I'm, quote, the fat girl, I need to be extra feminine and pretty and put together all the time.
Right.
I have to be funny. I have to be smart. I have to be the it girl. I felt like I had to overcompensate.
Right. Nobody could be mad at you.
Right. Yeah, so I become a huge people pleaser.
Yeah.
I have to be the easy, adaptable fat girl. I can't.
You can't be a threat to anyone.
Yeah, I can't rock the boat. Right. So that robbed me from being able to truly get to know myself and what really works for me and what Emily really needed at that time. And I'm having to relearn that in recovery now and get in touch with who I should have done then.
I know. And these are things that we really should have learned when we were like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
who am I and where am I going? What a
right.
great thing that would be.
Yeah. How to make the decisions of what's best for you
Mm-hmm.
in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think along too, what I would want to say to a young girl or person at this point is, especially so with social media, is to be a critical viewer of your
Yes.
social media. You
Yes.
can create your entire online experience. Weed out anything that makes you feel bad about yourself.
That's right.
Don't follow things on Instagram as inspiration or thinspiration of who you want to be.
I know.
Follow people and accounts and content that uplift you, make you feel good about yourself, inspire you to be a better person or get involved in things. Create your own experience. Don't be a victim to just everything that's coming at you in advertisements, radio,
Yes.
everything you see,
Yes.
billboards, everything is coming at you. So
Right.
as much as you can, just tailor your
Right.
social media.
Yeah, it's sort of like be that critical eye
Mm-hmm.
about what you're feeding yourself. We want to do that with eating like a good like food that works for ourselves.
That fuels
Not
you.
worry about what if it feels good to somebody else. It feels good to me to eat this, and it's the same way. It feels good to me to watch this or do this.
Right.
It makes me better person, not angry and shamed and depressed.
Yeah.
That's not it.
Faking it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not it.
Yeah.
Perfect. I just think that's so good. So is there anything else that you want to say that we haven't said? Anything you want to tell the world that you have figured out and
Yeah, I really, thank you. I feel like, I want to be like an evangelist about
Yeah.
radical acceptance and intuitive eating, and just kind of like I have found this way to free myself, this way of life where I'm able to, not compare myself to others, get in touch with what actually works for me, and then thrive within that while I still figure things out. And I have kind of been on a mission with my Lucky Bombshell blog, which started back in 2011. So after I'd gained all my weight back through recovery, which thank God I had, so I gained my weight back
kidding.
while recovering from the eating disorder. So accepting that my body was back at where I had started, I did a photo shoot, and that helped me stamp my radical acceptance. Like, this is my body. Cause I had waited to do like a pinup photo shoot until I'd gotten smaller. And I was like, never again. I'm going to do this now. This is my body. I still feel pinup-y and hot and do whatever I want to do.
It's so cool.
So that kind of cemented that. And that's in 2011. That's why I started Lucky Bombshells, just wanting to let people know that, like, you get to decide. You can decide right now to not hate yourself and reach for something and support that is going to nurture you and help encourage you to, be at peace with yourself. Because you're not going to, people push body love, loving yourself, but sometimes it's just about neutrality and not hating yourself. If you can get to a place where you're just not abusing yourself and not in a pit of despair and comparing yourself to everybody and thinking you're worthless, that's a win. You don't have to absolutely be in love with yourself.
Right.
So keep that.
But you will
in
get
mind.
there.
Yeah. So with that, that's kind of my message I always put out there, is just trying to, as a body positive motivator, that's why I say that. I just try to motivate people to get more in touch with what works for them. And one of my taglines is, behold yourself, #behold yourself. You get to decide, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So don't wait for somebody to tell you whether you're beautiful or not, or whether you fit into the beauty mold or not. You are.
Even what is beautiful.
Right.
What is that
just
for you?
European standards of beauty? That's a bunch of malarkey, as we all know. So really, again, just that there is this way out here. And sometimes when I feel like I'm talking to people about and introducing concepts lightly into conversation, when people are hating on themselves,
slip
and
it in.
they look at me, I'm being extreme here, like it's like devil talk, like it's this belief system. They're like, okay, crazy lady, like that's nice for you, but I'm gonna still keep hating myself. I try to tell them. So I just try to lead by example. And if there's anybody out there who can follow along with how I put myself out there and what I share about our community, is that, if we can all do it, if I can do it, you can do it.
Yes. Exactly.
There's resources, and you don't have to have support groups in your neighborhood. There's great podcasts like this.
Yep.
Find local groups and support, or build your own. I was
Build
here
your
in Sacramento
own, right.
learning all this from you, going to the Bay Area for everything. And I'm like,
Yep.
where are my people at in Sacramento? Why do we not have a body positive community here?
I know.
So we've been able to cultivate that and just surround yourself.
And they came.
Yeah.
You opened it up and they came for sure.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a good idea about, get books that speak to you.
Yeah.
Take them to your therapist. If she's not or he's not, on with this program, get her on the program or him on the program. And if they don't want to, then get another therapist.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to just be in therapy to hear another idea about a diet when you're trying to get, recover from dieting.
Right.
It's like going and, when you're a drug addict, getting your pusher to be your best friend. It just doesn't work.
Dance with the devil, it's fine.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. You have to get new ideas in there.
Yes.
People who have had some recovery at least. And it doesn't have to be just this way, but you do have to radically change what you think in order to recover from stuff. I mean, I know when I smoked, I didn't think that the car would start if I didn't have a cigarette, so
Right.
I found out that it did. In the same way, I found out I don't have to be on a diet my whole life, and I don't have to worry about that.
Right.
It's okay.
Right. Oh, I can eat one cookie and not the whole package and
That's
survive.
right. It can happen.
What?
Happens all the time.
You can learn to trust yourself. It's
People do it all the
crazy.
time. And, I want to just give you a little bump on this is that I have seen you just really blossom. You have a great job. You have a great relationship. You have a beautiful little house.
Thanks.
You have elder parents, like a lot of us, have to go through that.
Yep.
And you're doing all of this without needing to have an active eating disorder, addiction, or whatever. You're doing it.
Yeah.
You're feeling your feelings and you're going through it.
All the feelings. We
All
feel
of
them
them.
all.
Right.
Yes.
But it is the only game in
Handle
town.
Yeah, it really is.
It's the only way to get through it.
It really is such freedom. And it is that other side of the coin. Like I said, when I first went into recovery and they had that idea of acceptance, I'm like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
That is the key, the cornerstone to my freedom.
It is true.
The practice of just accepting it as I go and enjoying my life.
Yep. Yeah. So with
thank you.
that, would you read the just for today?
Yeah, I would love to. All right. Today, I will practice accepting my body exactly as it is. When the desire to dislike or change my body comes up, I will say, I am learning to love my body and accept my body and myself exactly as I am right now.
Beautiful. Really. It's something to aspire to, huh? So, thank you, Emily.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Laurelee.
being here and being on this podcast.
My pleasure, my absolute pleasure. And luckily we have these cards and
Yep.
I can pull them and remind myself of
That's
these.
right.
And these are wonderful. So thank you.
It's
for
like,
these.
what am I supposed to do? Oh, yeah, I have the cards.
Yeah, that's great. Keep them in
Okay.
my pocket.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. And be sure and follow me on Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and itsnotaboutfood.com. Thanks.